WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. We'll see how rare these remain because this is the new standard core range from Glenglassaugh. Glenglassaugh belongs to Brown-Forman, and Brown-Forman has basically global distribution. Today it's all about the Glenglassaugh Sandend. I'm going to compare it to the 12-year-old, which I've already done a video on. And the last video I'm going to do, because it's a peated whiskey and I have to do something else with this, the Port Soy. So this goes over there, this comes up here, these glasses come over here. We have Whiskybase number 23357. Over here, the 12-year-old is 233639. So this costs about 46 euros. This costs about 50 euros. Now I'm a little bit confused why the no age statement product, yes it is 50.5% ABV, actually costs more, no age statement costs more than the 12-year-old with an age statement. Even look at the colors here, you'll see that it is darker. Why don't you put natural color on the labels? Brown-Forman, Glenglassaugh. I'm even call out Rachel Berry here. We geeks want natural color on the label. We geeks want non-chill filtered on the label. And you gave us a product over here with 45%. And it is probably non-chill filtered, but do tell us. That would be nice. All right, so a whole new bottle design. Beautiful bottles with a little bit of waves here. You got the emblem down here. You have the mint colored up here, which I'm not a great fan of. Somewhere on each label you'll find either the 12 and mint, or down below you have the mint. This is 50.5. So we have bourbon casks, we have sherry casks, and we have Manzanilla casks. Manzanilla is a type of sherry. So we have bourbon, sherry, and sherry. If you're calling it Manzanilla, which is basically Fino in a special area, a special port in that triangle of Jerez, and it's famous for its salty character. Fino is basically a type of sherry that uses it's covered by flora, which is basically just yeast, and it does not allow oxygen to go down in there. It does not allow a oxidative maturation of the sherry. So it's a non-oxidative, maturation. Over here, that sherry and the red wine over here makes a big influence, especially with the color. I don't think it's just the age here. I think actually the red wine and the sherry. Both of these are somewhat delicate as a whiskey. Nothing is shouting your name or the drink me, drink me. It's more of a understatement type of whiskey. Now 50.5% is bold. I like that. All right. So very, very nicely done. I would have loved to know the percentage here as well of the bourbon, the sherry, and the Manzanilla. And what was the other sherry? Probably it was Oloroso, but we just never know. All right, so these just hit the market at the end of June and beginning of July over here in Europe. And so I'm very, very privileged and glad to be one of the first to actually talk about these whiskeys here online. In the comparison, the Sandend is, I'm just going to read every single word on the bottle, all right? So it says here, Glenglassaugh established in 1875. Good to know. Highland, single malt Scotch whiskey. Great. Sandend, waves of tropical sweetness with a crack of sea salt. Pinch, but a crack? So having good crack, I know in Ireland just means having good fun, but a crack of sea salt. Rachel Berry blender, master blender, 50.5% volume, 70 cl, distilled, aged, and bottled in Scotland. I've read every single word on the front, and I'm going to read every single important word on the back. Glenglassaugh established 1875, inspired by the crescent beach of Sandend Bay. I haven't been there myself. I was in the area, but I wasn't at that beach. But I've seen picture. Beautiful, beautiful. Almost as beautiful as Machia Bay on Isla. Okay, Glenglassaugh Sandend is matured in bourbon. Sherry and Manzanilla cask for luscious waves of flavor. They do like their waves, don't they? So, and that's it. Glenglassaugh Distillery, Portsoy, and then we have the Scotland with the zip code. And that's it. Please enjoy responsibly. Responsibledrinking.org, www.glenglassaugh.com. And here for EU consumers, please contact Brown-Forman in Netherlands and Amsterdam if there's any. So, if there's a thing. It's a law. You have to have in the European Union a contact address for complaints, for problems with health concerns, and so on and so on. What is really, really fascinating for me is the website, glenglassaugh.com, has not yet been relaunched. They relaunched the bottles over at least here in Europe and have not yet redone the website. Wow, Brown-Forman. Come on. Hurry up. Do something here. All right. So on the nose. I like this nose. This is a good nose. This is very, very interesting. A little bit of powder sugar, a little bit of vanilla, a tiny, tiny little bit of oak, pineapple, a little bit of honey melon, a little bit of tropical notes going on here. Much, much lighter. Much, much. This had wine influence. If I go over here, yep. I get like a red currant. I get yeast. I get a sourness. Here, I don't. This was not made by Billy Walker. This was not made by Brown-Forman. This was made by the company or the owners, Crescent, I think it was called, that owned and took the Glenglassaugh distillery after 22 years of being mothballed, of being dormant. They paid £5 million to buy the distillery with the stock and so on. And they actually did an interesting job of revitalizing the distillery, putting in a visitor center, and having that there. Billy Walker continued the tradition, and then after just 3 years, he only had 3 years at Glenglassaugh, which is nothing to change things in a distillery. Brown-Forman came in 7 years ago, basically, bought the place, and since then have been making whiskey. My theory, I have no facts, I have no conspiracy, I have no information whatsoever. My conspiracy is that this is primarily, if not exclusively, juice made by Brown-Forman at the distillery. Some of it might be from Billy Walker's time. All right, so, but not much. According to this very smart book here, they produced in 2021 only for, how many weeks was it here? So, only 6 weeks of production. Over about 45 weeks of not producing and then 6 weeks of producing at Glenglassaugh. I'm sure there are very many reasons for that, but still that's going to affect our probability of getting 12-year-old whiskeys in 10 to 12 years from now a lot. So that's that. So, but whoever's making the whiskey there now, this is much better than this. All right, 50.5%. Cheers. The 50.5% ABV, 101, like wild turkey, right? Has a little bit of a kick. Not much, but the alcohol, a little bit of a hug. I really like. Not complaining, just mentioning. That tropical vanilla, powder sugar, a little bit, what really surprised me was the amount of, for me, the amount of oak I get here. It's not an old tannin used barrel. It's like a sawdusty new barrel. It's not barrel char, but it is a little bit of a fine moment here of woodness. Integrated together with a little bit of salt. Now, Manzanilla has a salty moment. This coastal malt wants to have a salty moment. And I think they it's very, very delicately interwoven into that whiskey. I must admit, this is something that I would buy, and I would rebuy if it had a price of under 40 euros. It's a fairly good no age statement whiskey for 40 euros, in my opinion. Originally, I tasted it the first time, and my German video was like, "That's a great whiskey for 30 euros." And I was like, "Okay, inflation. Let's adjust for inflation. Let's go for 40." Still nice whiskey, very, very nicely done. 50 euros is a little bit. This is a solid C whiskey. It's almost a C plus. On a good day, I'm going to give it a C plus. It has a nice, somewhat longer finish here. It's C plus. So A, why haven't you bought it? Very few whiskeys in my life have been A's. B, buy it. So that'd be anyone. Usually it's 90 points and above. This is here a C. You can buy it if you want. D, you don't need to buy it. And F, why was it even made? So this is a C to C plus. So yes, of the three, I think this is definitely going to be my favorite. I have not tried the port soy, but I'm not a peat head, so this is going to be it. And as I said, I'm going to give a C minus here for value for money. 10 euros, even 15 euros less, I would have went, whoa, top whiskey. But it was not. So 50 euros. Did they do a good choice of mixing and blending and marrying the cask? Yes. Very, very nicely done. In comparison, let's go over here to the 12-year-old. I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, this 45% bourbon, sherry, and red wine. In comparison, the red wine is evident more and more. I use the word very, very delicate. I'm still going to use it. This doesn't shout at you. So the red wine, the caramel of the red wine, a little bit of the sherry together, a little bit of red currant is going on here. I've had red wine finishes that just have so much astringency. It's like, that's not this. It's very delicate and nicely supported. Over here, the Manzanilla very delicately, nicely supports a 50.5% single malt from the Highlands. Very, very nice. The sherry, I'm not sure if I get it, but I'm also not sure I get the sherry over here. I would have loved to have the percentages of the casks used. I would have loved to have, of course, an age statement. I need to have natural color and non-chilled filtered on here. Doesn't take much to change the label and put that on there in the future. You're going to win more people than you're going to lose. Their natural color, look at that. I mean, you can see the color difference already. So if they actually put the caramel coloring in there for uniformity with the colors, you would have something totally, totally different. And talking about uniformity with the coloring, I would like, I know I'm asking a lot, if these are the new core range, I would always like to have a little bit of information someplace about a batch. So I read here, so if I can read correctly, 2023, so that's 2023, on the 17th of May at 4:18. I guess I have a batch number here of LT00074. I guess that's about right. And over here I have LT11127. This was on the 9th of May at 9:29 in the morning. So we do have a laser code, and we can take a look at these things here and see what's going on. So yes, thank you that I have a little bit of batch possibilities here. Would I go out and buy a new one of these? No. Sorry. Not for 50 euros. Would I refuse to drink it and try to find something else? Also no. This is something that I actually prefer. So the last drink of the day for this one. This has a little bit better of mouthfeel. You put a little bit of water in here. Did in my German video. It doesn't open up, but it actually works well with water. But I like the 50.5%. I like that higher. ABV here and a standard core range product. I must admit, well done for that. All right, I almost have to give it a bonus point, almost push it up to C plus because of that higher ABV here. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, telling others even here about this crazy guy over in Germany, tasting his way through many, many, many different types of whiskeys in Scotland, in Germany, in Ireland, in the USA, and other parts of the world. And I look forward to reading your comments down below. First question: which brand needs which brands need a rebranding? So Glenglassaugh definitely needed a rebranding, and I like what they did. Ben Romach have recently rebranded that red and so on, and other companies will always Wild Turkey rebranded again, and so on and so on and so on. Which ones will rebrand or needs to rebrand in the future, in your opinion? What is your favorite Glenglassaugh? And the last question of the day is Manzanilla. Which expressions, which bottlings have you really enjoyed that have used Manzanilla? Not Fino, not Palo Cortado, not Oloroso, not Pedro Jimenez, not Muscatel, but actually Manzanilla. Thank you very much. See you soon. Whiskey Jason here. Bye-bye.